Do you think President Trump will complete his 4-year term? No. One way or the other, he's going. I don't know if it's going to be of his own accord. I don't know if the pressure of the job will get to him and make him quit, or if he's going to be asked to quit after all these investigations are done. They always say where there's smoke, there's fire. Well, there's a lot of goddamn smoke. So there's a hell of a fucking fire going somewhere. So no, I do not see him making the 4 years. That could just be wishful thinking on my part. George Goulas, worst wrestler of all time. Probably. Be hard for me to think of a worse one. Any Dusty stories? I do, but they're lengthy, and I'll have to tell those on the bowling alley sometime. Dusty Rhodes prevented Jimmy Cornette from being at my son the Prince's baptism, and I'll have to tell that story on the bowling alley sometime. But I will tell that one. Just somebody remind me next bowling alley. Vince McMahon thoughts. Vince did not think I was real. Vince was convinced that Jimmy was making me up. He kept hearing all these fucking stories. And then Vince met me backstage at a Freedom Hall show in Louisville. And when I walked up to him, Jimmy said, "Here's my friend Kenny Bolin." And Vince looked at me and went, "Good God, he's real." And then I said, "Hello, Mr. McMahon," making fun of one of the his stooges that used to call him Mr. McMahon Briscoe. And he says, "Oh my God, not another one." And then my son had dinner with him backstage at catering, and that led to some issues with Tony Gurria. So I got a shitload of stories that I've probably told them before, but I'll tell them again on another bowling alley. Kenny's weird odor. Well, I guess that would have worked too, Kevin, for KWO. If I get hot and sweaty, the odor's probably not that good. So that would have worked. That would have worked too. Were you all wrestling during the big tornado outbreak in '74? No, I was fucking 14 years old. I wasn't wrestling anybody. I was probably watching a Jerry Lawler match. That was April 3rd. How do you feel when you met Dwayne Casey? It's Dwayne Casey? Casey and the Sunshine Band. Kevin was with me that night when I met Casey of Casey and the Sunshine Band. We got backstage passes, and Kevin was with me that night. We had third row seats, and Casey threw his towel out. I'm not going to tell you I caught the towel, but the fan that did turned to me and said, "Here, you deserve this more than I do. You know every word of every fucking song. This is your towel." And then Casey signed it for me after the show. But that was cool getting to meet HWK. It's Harry Wayne Casey, not Dwayne Casey. Goddamn, Kevin. Fuck. Mick Foley stories. Yes, but too numerous to get into here. I am a part of 2 of his trivia questions. Both times he retired and came back, I was the one that got Sacco. Both times. So that's a short story, but there are more. Have you listened to the best new podcast, Ringside Podcast? Cheap plug. No, Daniel, I haven't. And yes, that was a very cheap plug. We're on here promoting me, not you. God damn it, Daniel. Matter of fact, Daniel and I have been friends for a long time. I think I used to didn't I do a hotline with you back in the day? Correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like I did. But I've known Daniel forever, and quit plugging your goddamn show on my deal here. Opinions on Teddy Hart. I just briefly met him a time or two. A lot of people hated him. I had some talks with him and tried to give him some good advice. He didn't obviously follow any of it. So, yeah, not really opinion one way or the other. Biggest ripoff artist in wrestling history. Me. China thoughts. China was very nice to me and my son. Her and Triple H come backstage one night and had a long talk with my son. My son used to use Triple H in his video games, and that flattered Hunter. And he and China come out and had a long talk with Chris backstage in Cincinnati one night. So my only thoughts of her were good, but poor China had her issues. Okay, yeah, Daniel does recall that. So probably Daniel is responsible for me doing podcasts, because my not podcast, but my hotline appearances on his show were real popular, and then everybody was doing goddamn hotlines, and I was doing everybody's show, and he kind of got that going for me, of me being on these wrestling talk deals. Biggest wasted talent, Sylvester Turkey. Sylvester should have been a lot more than what they ever got out of him. Do you remember Roka? As a matter of fact, I wrote Roka today. I saw her on Twitter. She's got a Twitter account, and I clicked her and wrote her a short note. She was one of my favorite females here, because I just freaking loved her look. And she's changed that around a little bit in the WWE. But when she was here, she was hot as we had. And she was here during the time of Maurice, Mickey James, Beth Phoenix, countless others. And I just loved Roka. So, loved Roka out there, but apparently she's not listening tonight. Thoughts on Randy Hales? I like Randy. Randy and I are good friends. We've been friends for a long time. We write each other from time to time. And Randy's always been a good guy to me, so I like Randy Hales. Let's see, if you could manage anyone in WWE, who would you pick? I'd like to feud with Shinsuke. That would be the fun. If I was managing Cena as a heel against Shinsuke, that would be a fucking blast. So that answers that. What about Prince and his concussion? He's doing better. Do you talk about that story when you crushed him with the bat? Try not to. And my internet keeps going out. Well, Kevin, get a better internet. Yeah, I hit my son in the head. I was at a softball game with Kevin that he had orchestrated. I think it was for Humana. Any short stories on Rick Rogers? I'll get into. I do, but that'll have to be covered on a bowling alley. And so my son is standing behind me, and I'm on deck getting ready to hit. And I think Kevin will tell you I was a pretty good softball player too, and a power hitter who could run, and was a good addition to most teams. Should have played Major League Baseball. And so I've got like 3-4 bats in my hand getting loose on deck, so the bat is lighter in my hands when I go up to hit. And I'm swinging them sumbitches for all they're worth. And Christopher stepped into my path, and I hit him right in the jaw with 4 aluminum ball bats, and I fucked him up. And needless to say, we had to go to Toys R Us, and I had to buy him a lot of shit that day because I felt like shit. But Kevin will tell you I completed the at-bat and doubled the left field. So, that was the dickest father mood I ever made. Any other decent dad would have scooped his kid up and ran to the hospital, but I knew my team needed me. So I took my at-bat, doubled the left, got a pinch runner, and went and took Chris to the doctor. So, yeah, I don't tell that story often because it don't make me look too good. What is your status with weight loss? I'm down a total of 130 pounds over the last 11, 12 months. And I'll start weight loss surgery maybe in about the next 2 to 3 months. So for not to have had the surgery yet, we're going in the right direction. Who are the worst WWE wrestlers? Well, a lot of people think Roman Reigns. I don't watch enough of the product to really know who's the worst and who's not. I just know I like Shinsuke. I used to watch to see Idol on there, and I've really watched a little WWE over the last 5 years. It's really not fair for me to comment. But there have been some bad ones, and I'll think about that, and once again, that'll be answered on an upcoming alley. What's the Instagram count on Harry's posting pictures of his dog? I don't know. Ask Harry. I don't know. Have you kept any souvenirs of yours? Well, I've got 1 briefcase left. I had 2 major ones that I've used through the years. One of them Cornette has now. That's been covered on Jimmy's show as to how he ended up with it. A guy named Ape Wilson paid $1,000 for both my crown and my briefcase. And then the sheriffs come over here to pick it up to tell me they was going to put it in safekeeping. And turned out it was 2 friends of Cornette that had him, that he sent over here to get them. And Jimmy now has them in his vault, we'll say. So I don't. Great to hear. Would you consider doing DDP yoga? I don't think it's for me. I don't think that I'm dedicated or disciplined enough to do that every day, even though I've heard that it's worked for a lot of people. And matter of fact, it's been offered to me. But he lives in Atlanta and I live here. I don't trust myself to be dedicated enough to do it because I was so damn bad off, guys. I barely had the energy to walk across the damn living room floor, more or less do DDP yoga. So I'm sure he would try to convince me otherwise, and he already has. I just don't feel it's for me. Not that it wouldn't help me. I just know I'm not dedicated enough to his program to do it. So no offense to him. I just know me. Power hitter, could run, great glove and arm, had that great catch in center field that time, Kevin, one of my favorite plays I ever made. Kenny pulled a Willie Mays catch, where I ran through the fence, got up and threw the guy out going to second, and then ran my ass off back inside to the infield. I was so pumped and ecstatic over the play I'd made. and I was blown the fuck up, and thank God I hit a home run, because I would have hated to have had to run after that, because I was blown up. Are you top or bottom bunk bed guy? This weight, I better be the bottom, because I pity the fucker if I'm on the top. If shit goes south, the guy on the bottom's in deep shit, and we're probably going to have a funeral for him. Best wrestling stable ever. Kind of hard to argue with the Four Horsemen. But Bolin Services had a hell of a run there on our level, where I had Rico Constantino, John Cena, Sylvester Turkey, Sean O'Hare, Bull Buchanan, and there might have been another one or two mixed in there, but those were the features. And all of those guys went on to make big fucking money in the WWE. So kind of hard to argue with that stable either here at OVW. I'd put them up against a lot of them. But as far as national televised stables, it's kind of hard to argue with the Four Horsemen.